I got exposed on the internet. My opinions of fictional death gods were ripped to shreds, my reputation is ruined beyond all repair, and this may very well be my last video on the platform. Probably not though, because none of that actually happened. However, there is a YouTuber who would like you to believe that it happened. His name is DBZimran, and he's an AniTuber who covers primarily Shonen Jump properties, most commonly Bleach. Anyway, he called me out for a video that I made in 2019 called Where Did Bleach Lose Me? Because calling someone out in 2022 for something they said in 2019 is a very timely critique, and I do genuinely look forward to his response to this video in 2025. Seriously though, like fake YouTube drama aside, the video that DBZimran made is a wonderful example of something that we don't get to see often. Not in the anime YouTube sphere anyway, which in marketing terms is what I call a declaration of war. Because I wasn't the only creator called out here, DBZimran also made mention of many other creators in this niche in his video entitled Dear Bleach Haters. And to accompany this, he also tagged us in a tweet with the added text of "Get wrecked." Now, the declaration of war is a very high risk, high reward maneuver, which is why I can't resist talking about it on this channel because there is so much to learn here. And we're also going to fix his thumbnail because it's just not as effective as it could be. Before that though, I will briefly address the drama that I am now involved in. Bleach, for the uninitiated, is one of the fabled big three. Three manga series being Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece, who were called that because back in the day they were so massively popular that nothing else even came close to rivaling them. Now within the anime community though, there was a point where it became very popular to kind of crap on Bleach for about a gazillion different reasons, some of which are relevant, some of which in retrospect is just whinging. And this is something that has made the core Bleach fan base, in my opinion, very defensive. And honestly, rightfully so. There was legitimately a time in the anime community where admitting that you were really into Bleach would have people looking down on you. And there's always a series like that. Other examples could be like Fairy Tail or Sword Art Online. You know, the stuff that almost became socially taboo in a kind of weird way. In any case, I started a second channel in 2019 called New World Review. And as part of that launch, I asked my audience what they would like to see me most cover in the initial videos. And an overwhelming amount of people said, "I want you to talk about Bleach." So I made an admittedly really crappy video about my opinions on Bleach, which were not overly positive. It's one of the worst videos I've ever made actually, not so much because of what I'm saying, but because of how I'm saying it. Looking back on it, the video doesn't look like an opinion. It sounds like I'm presenting my points in a completely objective manner. And at the time, again, way back in 2019, I was actually called out by another Bleach YouTuber named James Hansen, who invited me to a discussion/debate on his Discord server. And the conversation went pretty much as follows. James brought up the major points I'd made and gave me some well-rounded insight into why I may have been wrong to have said those things that I said. And then usually I would go, yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, I still feel how I feel, but I probably shouldn't have said it like that. It was a really big learning experience for me, and it completely changed how I wrote scripts afterwards. I learned a lot about making subjective statements clearly subjective, you know, using a lot of "in my opinions" and all that kind of crap. And that's why the Bleach video is still up to this very day, because even though it's utter garbage, it is still part of my history, and I do appreciate being reminded of it every now and then. Which takes us to now and then. 3 years later, another Bleach YouTuber is calling me out, and not to make this all about me here, because there are other people targeted in the video, but of the roughly 1 hour and 15-minute runtime, about 40 minutes is dedicated to just my video, which in terms of effectiveness is kind of like taking a dump that someone did 3 years ago and using it to analyze what kind of diet they have today. A lot has changed about me since 2019, and I personally think it's a bit of a worthless cause to put me on trial in this day and age, because what you're accomplishing was already done by James in 2019. And I also want to address the common critique that this video receives from Bleach fans, which is eloquently summed up in the following comment. "Can't believe you done a whole video criticizing something you didn't even finish. Complaining about depth when you haven't completed something is ridiculous." This is the most common thing that I encounter with a few very vocal Bleach fans. The idea that you need to finish a series before you have any opinion on it whatsoever, because that is blatantly false. You can have an opinion on something no matter how much of it you've read or watched. It's your opinion. For example, I don't need to watch all 5 Twilight movies to know that I don't like that series. One was more than enough to get a feel for it. And in this particular case, I was at almost 300 chapters of Bleach. I was even reading it in high school when the Hueco Mundo arc was being published weekly because I'm ancient. And when you've spent the time reading literally hundreds of chapters of a series, yeah, you're allowed to have an opinion. And I think that this criticism is particularly invalid because my whole video was about why I stopped reading Bleach. Like, it's even called Where Did Bleach Lose Me? And having finished the series completely kind of would have negated the point of the video. Again though, this is partially my fault because I could have made that clearer in the video itself, but come on guys, just use some common sense. Opinions can't be debunked, not even the shit ones. I mean, just imagine a world where you had to finish the series before you got to say anything about it. Like, One Piece critics would be pretty much non-existent because the people hating on it would never slog through 1,000 chapters just to state their opinion. Nor should they. If they get to Baratie or Arlong and they go, this is kind of crap and here's why, then that's fine. That's an opinion. Alright, that aside, this is where the fun stuff comes in. I think this video is far more strategic than DBZimran makes it appear, and as a strategy fiend, I love it. Even though it's completely trashing me, I love it. Now, as I said before, this is what I refer to as a declaration of war. You see it in a lot of other niches, and even this one from time to time. Like, there was that one point where Nuxtaku used a strategy in a video literally titled, "I'm declaring war on the One Piece community." And it's a strategy that involves 2 of the 7 primal branding elements, namely being the non-believers and the leader. So in DBZimran's case, he is obviously the leader, but he is emphasizing that element very powerfully by being the individual to declare war on behalf of the Bleach-loving community, or at the very least the Bleach-loving community who follow him. And just like real war, this works. People tend to rally behind their leaders in a time of crisis. And what DBZimran is doing here is creating a sort of artificial crisis. Not only that though, but by calling us out, DBZimran has also instantly created an entire army of non-believers to fight against. Because when you have a common enemy, your community becomes that much more cohesive. And I said this in the video I did on Mr. Morge, but every brand in existence has its own assigned enemy. Take, say, Apple versus Android as a very basic example. You generally belong to one or the other, and you can hold super strong opinions over something that really shouldn't matter. So I and many others are now the non-believers to DBZimran's community. And to them, he is the mighty leader sent to deliver our much-deserved justice. Acutely articulated in the words, "get wrecked." And it's very effective because it's an incredibly quick way to deliver 2 very important brand elements. However, that does come at a price, because again, this is very high risk, high reward. In exchange for the enhanced brand loyalty from his existing base, or anyone who finds DBZimran from this video, he has effectively ostracized himself from everyone that he targeted, as well as potentially their audiences. And this is why you don't see a lot of declarations of war in this niche, because you're burning a lot of bridges, not only with creators, but also potentially their fan bases, which is generally quite counterproductive if you're trying to grow a channel. You know, you generally want to be appealing to as many people as possible. And the price here is sacrificing that appeal for a quick boost with your existing audience. So I guess it's kind of like doubling down. You're enhancing what you already have, but you're cutting down on what you could have. And I personally don't think it's that worth it, because more often than not, you should be thinking about the needs of your future audience in order to grow, as opposed to continuing to just please your current base, because otherwise you'll just stagnate. So it's a very insular strategy, and I don't think that's particularly great on YouTube, nor is it great in real life. You know, countries isolated from the rest of the world tend to suffer in many areas. But still, it's a bold maneuver because declarations of war are loud. A lot of people are going to hear this. This video will probably find its way to Bleach fans who have never heard of DBZimran, and I'm sure that many of them will become sympathizers to the cause of the brand. But the thing I love most about this video is the title. It is super simple, and all of the best titles always are. Dear Bleach haters, with this little heart as well. So it presents itself as kind of an open letter addressing the non-believers in a clear, concise, and even somewhat sassy manner as a result of that their heart. The more I think about it, the more I feel like that heart is everything. If this was just titled Dear Bleach haters without the heart, it would probably come off a lot more seriously and just like another man in his bedroom complaining on the internet. But that heart, it adds some nice emotional curiosity. Like, there's an experience to be had here, one that is not to be missed if you're a Bleach fan who has had to deal with these haters in the past. And then of course another stroke of brilliance is including 3 names in the title, including my own, being New World Review. Although there's a slight point of order here. I feel like my name really should be first. DBZimran spends 40 minutes of his life dissecting my 3-year-old fecal matter on screen, whereas he spends like 3 minutes on For Neverworld. So come on man, like at least make me first. Although if anything, it should probably be the exact opposite order. Trash Taste should probably come first because they are by far the largest creators mentioned in this video. So if you were trying to hit a chord by using their name, then it would be better served in that first position. And to illustrate this, when you see the video on your homepage or your recommended feed, the title gets cut off after the first name. So make the first name either me or the Trash Taste guys. Because no offense to For Neverworld, but we have much bigger audiences and name recognition that DBZimran could be taking advantage of. Alright, let's also dissect the thumbnail, and honestly, this needs some work. I'll start by saying I really like the Bleach haters exposed text. Red and white is a very solid color combination that I fall back on a lot using text, because it gives you a solid sense of urgency, which on some level is what you want people to feel when they see your thumbnail. You don't want them to think, I could come back to this later or something along those lines. No, you want them to go, oh, I need to watch that now. However, the rest of the thumbnail it's pretty average. I think the shot of Ichigo that was used is a big missed opportunity. When you're making thumbnails, it's important to make an emotional connection. And the shot of a stoic hollow Ichigo smiling coolly and anime doesn't really do that. I think it would have been much more effective to find either an angry, sad, or even shocked image of Ichigo, and then slap the no symbol on top of him, because it helps to create more curiosity. For example, if you used a character looking shocked, then you can make the viewer think, wow, what's so shocking about this video? I need to know, so I'm gonna click. And you just don't get that with your classic anime character looking cool kind of pose. And another thing, the thumbnail is way too dark. Because here's a stat that shocked me. I ran a poll on Grandline Review and I discovered that 80% of my audience uses YouTube on dark mode, which is crazy because I knew it was a lot, but I didn't think it was a lot. But it was a lot. So when I make thumbnails now, I have to take into account that the vast majority of people will see that thumbnail against a black background. And this thumbnail by DBZimran really does risk fading into the background, because the background of the thumbnail itself is just way too dim. On the homepage, it's going to be surrounded by an army of infinitely bright thumbnails that are going to take a viewer's attention before this one does. And even the shot of Ichigo should be pumped up a lot visually. Add some brightness, use some contrast, and maybe even give it a sharpen, and all of a sudden you have an image that really pings, rather than just some sort of dimly lit anime dude who is there. So I do think that's unfortunate because the title man is super solid. But here's the stroke of genius I've left out until now, which is timing. DBZimran could not have timed this better, because right now Bleach has all of a sudden become very relevant again. And that's due to the announcement of the new 2022 anime. So now there is this renewed massive interest in Bleach, which makes the environment very well suited for a big Bleach video to hit, and this is kind of that. As per usual, I'd also critique the length. The average YouTube viewer doesn't have time to watch this in their daily activities, which you all know because I've given you all of the stats in other videos. So I think that instead of wasting 40 minutes dissecting my horrible video, that sentiment could have been expressed in a much more concise and punchy manner. Maybe 15 minutes long at most, and then it would have a much more casual appeal. Because then more casual fans of Bleach would be willing to make the time investment, or better yet, people who have never even seen or read Bleach might give it a look. Because the video clearly exudes drama, and drama creates curiosity, even if you have no idea about the topics or the people involved. But that curiosity is not going to be strong enough to give this video a look because it's too big of a time commitment. So look, we'll see how this works out, but a big thanks to DBZimran for involving me in your drama, because the other benefit of drama is that it's going to lead to a lot more awareness of me, more views, more interaction, you know, that sort of stuff, all coming my way effectively for free. So I really have nothing to say but thank you, and I genuinely wish you all the best on the YouTube.